Hey everybody, welcome to Cold Antler Farm. This is vlog number 37 and I'm here with a ram lamb named Vic who is still wants to eat more after he's already had his breakfast. So first things first, I want to thank Michigansnowpony for making that video about this vlog series at Cold Antler Farm. Because of you, I have now an extra like 400 subscribers in just a couple of days. So if you're new to the channel, thank you for coming by. Please check out my blog, barnheart.com. That's barn as in barn and heart as in like right here. And that's my blog. It's about 8 years old now and starts with me dreaming of chickens and rabbits in Idaho, follows me around the country to Vermont, to buying my land here in New York, and creating this farm, quitting my day job, the whole story, all of it's there. So along with my 5 books that are out now, my story's out there. It's literally an open book. So thank you for coming. Please feel free to put comments and ask questions or give suggestions for blogs and vlogs that might come up in the future. And I'm just glad you're here. Thank you so much. And even though it's kind of rainy and snowy outside, and yeah, snowy in April here, yep, there's still a ram here. I just want to thank you for coming. And we're indoors today. We're not outside on the farm, but it doesn't mean we can't cover some questions. So today's vlog will be all about viewer questions. The first question I have comes from someone asking about whether or not I believe in dehorning my dairy goats. That's a very good question, and honestly, I personally do have my goats dehorned. I only have 2, and they're a breed called Alpines. And whether they're French or Swedish Alpines, whatever it is you want to call them, they come with horns, males and females. An Alpine goat's horns can be a beautiful, gorgeous thing on a pack animal, but it can be kind of a hindrance in small spaces or when you use them for dairy. I get up close and personal with those goats. I'm literally resting my head against their body, and if they were to turn around quickly or if they were to decide they don't want to deal with me, instead of just using their head to press against me, those horns could cause some injury. So when a doe or a buck is going to be dehorned, it's usually done in a painful process done around the age of a couple days old. Literally, a tool burns the horn away. It's burned off. It's burned down to the skull. It is not pretty. It is something that is done because in the future you want to make living with those goats, more easy. But it's controversial. It really is. In other countries, I know in Europe, you're not allowed to dehorn your goats. I do not believe goat dairies are legally allowed to do that practice. It's considered barbaric. Around here and in the farms, I learned everything I learned about goats. The goats are dehorned, and the reason is pretty simple. We're living with a lot of goats in smaller spaces like barns and pens and paddocks, or just milking stands coming off a pasture, and big long horns and a head thrown in each direction. It can cause some injury, mostly to you or even to other goats. And horns also can get stuck on fences or attached to electrical wires, or can just be something that makes it harder to keep a domestic animal. So I understand the argument both sides. To me, it's literally 15 seconds of a very long, healthy, happy life here at Cold Antler Farm. So while I do agree that there's no denying it is barbaric and painful for the kids, it makes living a good 10-year-long life on a farm a lot easier and pleasant for everybody. So that's my answer on dehorning. Do you have to do it? No. Would I want a dairy goat at this farm with big long horns? No. The next question I have here, let me read it off from my notes here to the side. It says, Jenna, I enjoy the vlogs and the blog. Thank you. I enjoy the vlogs and the blog. However, I have been inspired by you to look into getting a horse or pony of my own. Merlin and you seem like a great pair. How can someone with no riding experience get started on the path to having their own backyard cart horse? Okay, So this is kind of a big thing. Literally, this is a large animal and a large commitment. It's not like getting chickens or even a goat or sheep or a pig. A horse is an animal you will have for anywhere from 10 to 40 years. They have a long lifespan. They require more care than your average bit of livestock. They're not there to be raised for meat or for wool or for market as much as they're raised to be a companion, much like a cat or a dog, but they live outdoors. They're technically livestock by law, but a lot of us see our horses more as pets than we do as, a paycheck. So understand that it's a big commitment. That said, if you want to get a horse, that's great. I would be the last person to discourage you from doing it. However, I will give you the advice that my riding instructor gave me when I was first got Merlin. I got Merlin and I was riding him around the riding barn, Riding Right Farm here in Cambridge. That I was riding Merlin around, and I asked one of the instructors there, what advice would you give to someone who's considering getting a horse? And the girls said to me, take riding lessons for a year. And I think that's great advice. If you're considering getting a horse, first see if you're interested in a horse a year after taking riding lessons. One, it's a lot less of an investment taking a weekly lesson at your local schooling barn. You might pay anywhere from $30 to $50 a lesson. If you go twice a week, that's a heck of a budget, but you're going to be spending more than $100 a month when you start out with a horse. I don't think it costs me $100 in the winter a month to feed my horse. He eats half a $3 bale of hay a day and sees the farrier once every 8 to 10 weeks. However, those first couple months of getting him started, there's equipment to buy, there's getting to know local farriers and trying people out. There was the price of a boarding stable, which is what I paid when I first got Merlin because I wasn't ready for him at the farm. I didn't have a horse barn or horse paddock. Right now he has a pull barn and he has a large he has an area fenced in that's about 2 acres. So I really jumped in. I saw a horse I wanted. I made it happen. I struck up a deal with the owner. I used my tax return that year to put him into a really great lesson stable / boarding facility where I could see him every day, but I didn't have to worry about his care and feed. I could just focus on our relationship. So I took a lesson with him there every week, and the trainers there rode him once a week and evaluated him. So if that's something you can afford to do or can figure out how to do, is to buy your horse and put it somewhere where you're just taking lessons and learning about the horse in a safe environment for a couple of months, that's great. But like I said, getting a horse is a huge deal. And if you're not even interested in taking lessons 6 months into your year of trying out lessons, do you really want an animal that'll be living with you for 20, 30 years in your backyard? So take lessons for a year. Not only will you know more going into owning that horse, you will have that animal as a certainty in your mind before you go ahead and make the big leap. So that is my advice that I'm giving you, recycled from one of my life experiences. If you want to get a horse, take lessons for a year, make that commitment of time, finances, and if you still can't get that horsey spirit out of you, get a horse. I can't say there's a single bad thing about it. A little trialing sometimes, but it's wonderful. All right, guys, that's it for today. If you have questions for a future question and answer vlog, please put them in the comments below. Again, thank you so much for subscribing. If you don't subscribe, please do. It's that little red button down there, and it makes all the difference to me to see that folks are interested in hearing more about this farm and what I have to say. So thanks for watching, and tune in later this week for another episode from Cold Antler Farm.